fright.
Well, it's funny because I got into safety not because I'm a really good safety professional, but because I speak really well. And so my toolbox talks and my safety meetings tend to not be boring. My training sessions tend to be entertaining and subsequently educational because people walk away remembering what was said. And I had a lot of executives who came up to me afterwards and were very glowing in their commendations of those training sessions and wanted to know how they could do that or how they could duplicate that at their business. And so I ended up putting together a couple of training programs originally designed for construction professionals, but now offered to anybody who wants to learn to public speak on how to master it. And really, the secret is everybody claims that they're afraid of public speaking, and the reality is they're not. And I can prove it very quickly. If you've ever been to a restaurant and ordered food, you spoke in public. And if you didn't know your wait staff, you spoke to a complete stranger, asked for what you want and what you got it. So this notion that we're afraid to speak in public or we're afraid to speak to strangers or we're afraid to ask for what we want is null and void if you've ever been to a restaurant and had your food delivered to your table.
Yes, well, I can manage it, but I actually am anxious about it, and I want to make sure that I've got my entree and main ready to go, so that I'm not taking too much time from the waiter.
Yes.
But I get through it. And what do people do wrong with presentations and speaking?
Ironically enough, don't they try to speak too much? And a lot of times, if you want to engage your audience, you want to have a really good presentation, you should not be speaking. You should be leading the presentation in a very strategic manner. And that's one of the things that we cover in both the book and my training courses. But a lot of times people will get caught up in PowerPoints and trying to do this massive information dump. And the reality is, if you can focus in on a single point and cover that well and allow your audience to have input into their thoughts and reactions to the information that you're presenting, that is going to be the most memorable presentation, because that is what our audience can digest. And if you need to get further into detail, you can definitely explore that. If there's multiple points that you want to explore, depending on the time that you have, you can. But being very succinct very quickly and allowing your audience to be part of that presentation and actually lead that presentation is usually the key to a really successful one.
Yeah, wonderful. And practice makes perfect with these things. And I've got this link here. What's this all about, John?
Oh, so we have a wonderful challenge, the 100 podcasts in 100 days. And we, with this initial one here, we can show you how to grow to the top of the ranks of the platform that you and I use to connect on Podmatch. I'm actually the author of the #1 best-selling book, Podmatch Guest Mastery, as well. And we can show you how I have successfully been the #1 ranked guest on that platform more than any other guest since its inception in late 2019, early 2020. And I think I've been the #1 ranked guest 23 times in 3.5 years. So almost over half, I think over half of the time I've been on the #1, and the rest of the time I've been in the #10. The only times that I drop out of the #10 is when I've coached 10 clients who bump me out, as is currently the case on Podmatch